I got a really special interview. Today we have powerlifting phenom, Bob Merk. How you doing, Bob?
Not bad. How are you?
Good, good. So, what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago that you were at the meet?
It was a week from today because I just did my first squat since the meet. Yeah.
Okay. So, why don't you tell us about that meet? What meet was it, and what exactly that you accomplished? Because it's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So I competed out in Lake Erie last weekend. It was a pretty big meet. I think it was like $20,000 in prize money. A lot of really good competitive powerlifters out there. My meet started not great. Typically, I'm known to be a fairly good squatter. My best squat's 1160, and this particular meet, I actually missed my opener. I had to take it again. So I ended up with 1,075 on my second attempt, jumped to 1135 on my third, squat it. I catch reds on depth. So I thought they were bad calls, but is what it is. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. So going into bench, I'm in a little bit of a hole because there's, this guy, Bruce Mason, a very good power lifter, Chris Delafave, all of Westside Barbells out there. So, it's a competitive meet. So bench comes along. I know I'm in a hole, and I actually end up doing real well. I open up with 900, take 945, and then I kind of shock even myself and take 1,000-pound bench on my third.
So basically you benched 1,000 and you squatted 1,075.
Yeah.
That 1,075 squat. Yeah, that sucks, man. I don't know what happened to you.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Are you nuts? Are you fucking kidding?
It's not my best, but I'll live with it. It helped me on the day. And then I just deadlifted. I deadlifted literally as little as I could to still win, which ended up not needing to be that big.
It's amazing. It's amazing that somebody could say 1,075 is not a good day. That is absolutely.
That's a bad day for me.
That's amazing. What was the name of the show?
So let's see. This was called the Summer Smackdown.
Summer Smackdown in Lake Erie. Okay.
All right. Rob Farrell is a guy who's a really good meet director. Okay. He runs a lot of good meets. It was his. He always backs it up with money and stuff. So he's a great guy.
Oh, good, cool. Okay. Yeah. So you wind up winning the whole thing, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got the winner of, what was it called? Summer Smackdown?
Summer Smackdown.
In Lake Erie. Okay. All right. So for people who don't know, you said you got red lighted. Explain exactly what that means.
All right. So powerlifting is a pretty simple sport. I mean, you got 3 lifts, a squat, bench, and a deadlift. You get 3 tries at each. You have to go at the same weight or move up. And you got to get 2 out of 3 judges or more to agree that you completed a successful lift. Okay. So usually it's pretty cut and dry. Squat's always like the most, because you got squat depth. It can be a little bit objective, I guess, less subjective. So some judges might not think you went deep enough. Some judges might. My particular one, I guess I was a little bit close. You got to get your hip crease below your knee, and I thought my hip crease was below my knee, but 2 judges didn't, and sometimes that is the way it goes. So it's just you got 2 out of 3 judges got to pass your lift.
Yeah, what's funny is I've seen that, and I've also seen the opposite, where it doesn't look like they really went deep enough, but then the judges give it to them. But what do I know? I'm a friggin' YouTuber, Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, the guy who was running this meet brought 3, national world level judges from 3 different federations. So nice. we weren't getting slouches. Basically, he said, if I'm putting $20,000 of my money on the line, I want to see good lifts. So.
Okay, that's great, man.
Yeah, and who can blame him? Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't blame him at all. So this was what's referred to as equipped lifting, right?
Yes, this was equipped. I've done both, but this was equipped.
Okay. So there's equipped and there's raw. So again, for people who don't know, why don't you explain the difference?
So raw lifting is pretty simple. It is just you versus a barbell. I mean, typically you're allowed to wear a weight belt, but raw lifting is what you see people doing in the gym. You're squatting raw, you're benching raw, you're deadlifting raw. If you're in shorts and a t-shirt and a belt, you're raw. Wrist wraps included in raw, that's fine. Even within raw, sometimes they include knee wraps, sometimes they don't. There's kind of 2 different divisions. So you see people in knee wraps, technically they're still considered raw because they're not wearing like an equipped supportive gear, but they are wrapping their knees. Whereas equipped lifting, you are adding sort of like a secondary element to help you support the lift. So you're wearing like a bench shirt. You see the guys walking around with their arms
yes,
like this, or you might be wearing like a squat suit, which is basically just a really tight layer of polyester that really is there to support the joints. Now it's funny because with equipped lifting, it started to support the joints, and now it's at a point where it's like like drag racing. Like you're going to pimp out your suit. You're going to try and squeeze as much out of the gear as you can.
Okay.
Because the better you get at it, the more you learn how to sort of like manipulate the gear. I always tell people, like, I would compare it as like the pole vault and the high jump. So like the high jump would be like raw lifting. Okay. You have to get yourself over the stick, jump as high as you can, unassisted though, because you're just jumping yourself. Whereas equipped lifting is the same goal. You want to get over that same stick. It's going to be a higher stick because you've got a secondary catalyst there. You've got the pole vault to help launch you. And I always use that analogy because just because you might be a good high jumper doesn't mean you're going to be a good pole vaulter, and vice versa, because there is a lot of skill involved in equipped lifting. It's actually kind of why I like it.
Okay.
I promise you, no one can just throw on a bench shirt and add anything to their bench. No one can throw on a squat suit and just be stronger.
Right.
Now, with some hard work, they're going to get there, but it's not as easy as a lot of people think.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of tension between equipped lifting and raw lifters.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of lifting's like high school. It's always like one big. Everyone thinks what they do is the best. Now, what's interesting about me is I started raw, and I mean, I've squatted over 800 pounds a couple times raw, and that was back in 2013, 2014. So I've been on top all-time lists raw in 3 different weight classes and equipped in 3 different weight classes. So like I like them both.
So you did both to basically shut all the haters up. You basically like, I could do both.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly got into equipped lifting because I was kind of looking for a new challenge.
Right.
I mean, I'm getting older. I honestly, it beats up your shoulders to take 550-pound raw benches every week.
Sure, I can imagine.
So I like my rotator cuffs being attached the way they are. So I learned something new. Now I have done a couple raw meets since I've been, an equipped lifter just for fun and all, but typically people specialize. I just kind of like to do everything. I just like lifting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us how significant it is that Westside Barbell was at this meet, because you mentioned it, and I don't think people understand. Well, my audience specifically doesn't understand how significant that Westside Barbell was at your meet.
Yeah, I mean, Westside Barbell is a gym where now they're not as great as they once were. I mean, Westside Barbell used to be the end all be all out in Columbus, Ohio. And the leader, Louis Simmons, is a guy who, and if you haven't seen it, there's a movie called Westside versus the World, which the guy who filmed that's actually filming another documentary that I'm in right now.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. Cool.
Yeah. He was just at my house for like a week. So, he's filming another one, like a sort of not a follow-up to that, but kind of like along the same lines. But Westside Barbell, they back in the day sort of took like what the Russians were doing, like the whole conjugate training, speed work, dynamic effort, and they sort of like popularized that. So like, even if you don't know Westside Barbell, if you've ever used a band chain, a reverse hyper machine, done like a back extension. So like they changed gyms all across the country and the world just with stuff that they were creating to get stronger. Now, you walk around a lot of powerlifting gyms or just even regular gyms. Like I have a bodybuilding gym around here, Attilas Gym, which is a pretty well-known gym, especially since the whole pandemic. The one dude from Attilas got himself some popularity there, but like
that's South Jersey, right?
Yeah. So it's more of like a bodybuilding gym, but they have bands, they have chains, they have reverse hypers where you lay on it and you swing your legs for like your lower back. So whether or not Westside, like you've been impacted by them if you are in the strength game. Right. In some way, shape, or form, Louis Simmons has had an influence on your life, whether you know it or not. Yeah, it's cool to have him in the meet.
Yeah, right. And they refer to him as the godfather of powerlifting, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't realize that you were in South Jersey. I'm actually in North Jersey.
Yeah, I make my way around South. I mean, my buddy Delafave, the one guy to meet, Chris Delafave, he's from Bergen County.
Oh, yeah, that's not far from me.
So he's not far from me. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My brother went to school at Patterson, so William Patterson. So I know my way up there a little bit.
All right, cool. So how you and I basically got together was that I had Rita West on my podcast. She actually was on twice. I want to have her on the third time after the bodybuilding season is over. Rita West is a powerlifting goddess, if you will. I mean, she still holds 2 world records in women's lifts, and she kind of mentored you. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So I met Rita. Interestingly enough, I met Rita sort of through my daughter, which is funny because I started powerlifting, and then my daughter, who was 7 years old at the time, she sees me doing it, and she's like, "I want to do that."
Right.
So I'm like, "All right, cool." So my daughter starts lifting with us, and she does her first meet, and Rita's there. So they become sort of like fast friends. And that was sort of the beginning of my friendship with Rita West. It continued on. And over the years, she sort of followed my lifting. We stayed in touch. And she was sort of the first person that told me, like, stop being such a hobbyist. Like, you can be better than you're letting yourself be. Like, take this a little bit more serious. And it could be, you know, you could go somewhere. So she was like kind of like a mentor to me in the fact that, like, it's not that I didn't think I could be good, but when you have someone like Rita West tell you, like, no, throw it in the fifth gear and you could be something.
Yeah.
You know, like
when a world record holder tells you to get your ass in gear, you could do better than this. You better do it.
Yeah. So she brought me out and I did like a squat expo when she opened her first gym. And then I did my first seminar for her. So she's opened a lot of doors and windows for me. Matter of fact, not last year, 2019, I was doing the biggest meet of my life. It was going to be the WPO. It was on ESPN. So like, I'm getting to be on ESPN, this, that, and the other. And I'm all bummed because she wasn't going to be able to make it. And I'm like, oh no, you know, so I'm wearing her gym shirt. So lo and behold, she surprises me and she flies into Chicago for that meet, literally like the night before. And I end up finishing second to just Dave Hoff, who's like the GOAT of all time in powerlifting.
Right.
On ESPN, on like live TV and all. So that was like a real cool moment for me. Not only did she show up, but she showed up and I did well. So
That's
it was
great.
awesome.
I actually had her shirt on yesterday. And then after what happened was yesterday, you and I tried, but we had bad connection. I actually had her shirt on purposely, but then I went to the gym, so we got all sweaty, and it's the only shirt I have of her, so it's in the wash. So I'm not wearing hers today. But yeah, she was on, and I spoke to her about. It was actually a really interesting interview. I spoke to her about her powerlifting, and she said that at 148 pounds, she squatted 675.
Yep,
and that is, and I actually told her that's more impressive than somebody that's 300 pounds squatting, 800 because, or 900, because I mean, she's such a small frame, such a small person is putting together all this power, all this horsepower. It's unbelievable. But I don't even
technique. Her technique's impeccable. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. All right.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even her best. Her best was 705.
Yeah, 165. I got a picture in my gym, right. My gym's in my house. Right. There's a big poster of that 675 squat with her because that was the West Side Pro Invitational that she did that at. So it's like a big meet too.
Yeah, it was amazing. I had her on twice, and I definitely want to have her on a third time after the bodybuilding season is over. But I want to have her on with a couple of other bodybuilding girls, and talk about women's bodybuilding.
Yeah, she's another one too who she competed raw and equipped.
Yeah, she said that.
She did. Matter of fact, the first meet that I saw her, she opened up raw, broke a world record, threw on her gear, competed just to qualify for the Arnold. So she literally, in one meet, she did a raw and equipped meet in one day at one time.
I didn't know that either. Yeah,
it was nuts.
She's like Superwoman. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, pretty much.
Really is. So, just out of curiosity, now it's just your opinions on things. There's been a push now, I guess, maybe for the last 4 or 5 years, about strict curl. It's been thrown into powerlifting now. What's your opinion on strict curl?
Strict curl's actually been in and out of powerlifting since like the 60s. So I want to say, like, they actually, when it first started, they had like the Continental Clean and Press was part of powerlifting. Which is kind of like a clean and jerk, but you use your belt and you sort of like manipulate the weight up.
Oh,
sort of like a strongman log press, kind of, except on like a bar.
Yeah.
And then WNPF, which is a federation that's around New Jersey, Pennsylvania area, like it's close to this area. They've always had a strict curl competition, literally since I started competing in like the 2007, 2008. I don't know. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't know that it belongs in the traditional powerlifting total, but a lot of times the way the WNPF did it, I thought was interesting, is that they would like have that be in between the squat, the bench, and the deadlift, and they would use that to sort of control the pace of the meet, which I liked. So like you say, you get done squatting, and before they change that platform over, as they're doing all that work behind the scenes, and they would use it to give people extra time to warm up for the bench, because now the curlers would come out and they would do their big curls.
Yeah. And who held the strict curl American record, I think, for 35 years was Jesus Christ. I can't believe it. It wasn't Jesus Christ, but I can't remember his name. What's his name? He's really, really popular now. He's had several heart attacks. He was on Joe Rogan. CT Fletcher.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
CT Fletcher, and was just broken by Leroy Walker last month. Yeah, last month. and I actually had him on. I interviewed him like a couple of weeks right before he broke it. Sorry, my dog is walking by. And it was I think the record was 225, and he broke it with 226, and now he's trying for the world record. But yeah, it's a movement that goes in and out. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's not. And basically, for people who don't know what strict curl is, you could explain it.
Yeah, I mean, strict curl is literally what it says. It is a strict curl. It's not a bodybuilder style curl. You're not throwing any body English into it. It's a dead weight, move the bar from a straight arm position to a traditional curl position. Yeah. I mean, this is not a division that I would excel in because I don't even do curls. The only curls I do are actually like light dumbbell sort of concentration, like twist curls. And the only reason I even do that is to like protect my my grip for the deadlift. There's not a whole lot of use for big biceps and powerlifting. I feel like they kind of get in the way almost. Yeah. No, you share that with a bunch of other. I saw the interview with Louis Simmons on Joe Rogan, and he said he had gotten injured and he couldn't train the way he wanted, so he did a couple of bicep curls. We wound up actually pulling his bicep. It's one of those things where like a bulky bicep, just by the nature of like having to use a switch grip on your deadlift, it puts a lot of pressure on you. And then in terms of like, other than maybe the bench press and like the descent and lowering it, I can't think of a whole lot of purpose for a big bicep. Strong biceps is different, but big biceps get in the way. Yeah, it's just right. Biceps are a bodybuilding thing. That's really it. Yeah, they look nice, but that's exactly that's really it. Julius Maddox is trying to break the. Well, he already has the raw world record. Yeah, he's looking to go to 800. Yeah, and he will. Yeah, it seems to be just a matter of time. I mean, anyone listening, if you've ever seen Julius Maddox, he looks like a building. He looks like a building. I wish you could see me next to him because I'm like 6 foot, like 285 on a normal day, and he makes me look like a baby. Yeah, like a small child. He's tall. He's as wide as a house. But the really impressive thing is how wide he is sideways. Oh, okay. like his. Yeah, I got you. It's like he's as wide sideways as I am forward. He's the widest human I've ever seen, and like it's not even close. Like he is just a massive human being. Yeah, absolutely. And the lifts and actually when you showed me the footage, which I'm going to use the footage that you sent me at the beginning of this video of when you benched that 1,000 pounds, I know it took a lot of hard work and time, but you made it look easy. It went up relatively easy. Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah. Julius Maddox lifts are the same way. It was like he does it, and it almost looks like he's not going to get it because he comes all the way down to his chest, and then he presses it like it's nothing. I've seen some lifters where it's the opposite. I forgot her name. Oh, Steffi Cohen. Steffi Cohen, when she deadlifts, looks like she's never going to get it up, and then all of a sudden, it's up. I think that the deadlift has sort of almost like the deadlift, especially if you pull sumo. Oftentimes it's going to look like that because you're generating so much force off the floor and you're taking all that flex out of the bar. Like the hardest part of a sumo deadlift is breaking the floor. Like if you do it correctly, and then when you break, you sort of build momentum, and then you get yourself into a better position. Like the lockout's usually easier. As far as Julius Maddox, though, I mean, some people are slow benchers. He's not. He generates all that force because he's like a tricep bencher. I got to see him live and really get to watch him. It was the Arnold in 2020. So it was like the last Arnold we've had before COVID hit. It was right as COVID hit. Yeah. He was benching like, I think at the time it was like 771 or something was the record, as he was like chipping it up to, it's like 780 something now. Yeah. But yeah, he sinks the weight in and it's almost like he explodes with his whole body. That's right. Yes. Yeah. So like he drops it in and like he almost like brings his chest up off the bench. So when he throws, it's like an explosion. And I mean, I guess when you're moving that kind of weight, it's either going to be fast or you're going to stop because like no one's grinding out in the 800-pound raw bench. Yeah, I've seen. If I'm right, I don't know if there was some famous footage. I think of Eric Spoto. Is that who it is? Yeah, he was strong back in the day. Yeah. Where his face, when he got up from the bench, his face was bleeding from his nose, his eyes. Oh yeah. I don't know if he got that lift, but it really looked like he was really struggling. I don't know. before Maddox came along, he was like the man. Now he had a short career,
Right.
like in powerlifting. He wasn't around for a long time, but I mean, you're going to remember a dude who's benching over 700 pounds raw.
Yeah.
That's hard to ignore.
How many guys benched over 700 pounds raw?
You got Spoto. You got Scott Mendelson, who's actually an equip lifter. He was just at that meet that I was just at. He tried 1160. Tried.
He does it a lot. He does it a lot.
He does.
Yeah.
You've got Maddox. I think Jeremy Hornstra's in the upper sixes, and he's cool because he's like a lightweight guy.
Mm-hmm.
So Jeremy Hornstra's a Florida guy who's like a 680 bencher, and he's only 242 pounds.
Yeah.
So that's impressive too. Yeah, I think there's only the three, unless I'm forgetting. Oh, Sarkev Kirill, the dude from the
Russian dude. Yeah,
the Russian dude. But I think it's the three Americans and one Russian dude.
So now, how many guys have benched over 1,000 equipped?
I think I was the 12th, but I think I was only the second person to do it full power.
Okay. So 12 guys.
12 guys total, and 2 guys after squatting in a full power meet. Me and Dave Hoff.
Right. And that's the most impressive part, is that there's only 2 guys on the planet that ever squatted and benched over 1,000 in a meet. And that's you and Dave Hoff.
And Blaine Sumner could do it whenever he wanted, if he ever left single ply and came to play in multiply.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, he could. Yeah.
Okay.
Because Blaine Sumner squatted over 1,100 pounds in single ply gear, like really strict standards. And he's also benched 1,003 single ply, which is just nuts. He just didn't do it in the same meet. That was a bench only meet that he benched 1,000.
Okay.
So he could, though, because if he put on the shirt that if he put on a multiply shirt, he could absolutely do it. No doubt in my mind. He's already got the skill. So,
but until he does, only 2
for now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So last year during the lockdown, there was a deadlift world record break, and it was from the mountain. I can't even pronounce his real name.
Hawthor Bjornsson or whatever.
Something like that. Now he's deciding he wants to be a boxer or whatever. But
him Eddie Hall.
Yeah. I think they're probably they're just striking while the iron's hot and making that money.
Might as well.
Yeah, exactly. There was a little bit of controversy because they did it at his gym. They didn't do it at a meet. What was your opinion of that?
I mean, I like the guy. I've actually met him. He's another giant human being. He's like shit. I shook his hand and his like fingers go down to my elbow pit. It's like make you feel like a small child. I mean, it was a good lift. I saw it, obviously, but I don't think you can claim a record when you can control the environment. I mean, I always do it. My gym's at my house. Do I get to break my records? Like in my house, it's just like, just because you're famous and you have a lot of money, I mean, you still have to do it in a competition if you're going to beat someone who did it in a competition.
Yeah.
Now, if he was beating an exposition lift, then sure. I mean, if we're going to call it an exposition lift, it's an exposition lift. But like to be a world record, it kind of has to be done in competition. It can be a deadlift only competition, but you don't get to control all the variables. Your bar, your plates, your gym, your everything. That's just not how strength sports goes.
Yeah, and the truth is, if anybody who lifts seriously, you always lift more in your home gym.
I think so. I mean,
you always do. I mean, I'm nowhere near a power lifter or an elite bodybuilder, but I do. I know when I'm at my gym that I go to, I could lift more. And if I go with a friend of mine to one of his gyms or what, I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know what the deal is, but it's the truth.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of variables that you can't control. Like even this weekend, like I'm traveling up to Lake Erie. It's a long drive. I couldn't really fly because it's in a weird area where flying doesn't really work out so well. But so now I got a long drive. That messes up my diet because now I'm not eating the same. So you got to be very cautious about your food. Then you get there, you're staying in a hotel. I don't sleep real well when I'm not on my Tempur-Pedic, and I'm not trying to be like a excuse maker, but like.
Well, you're not because you won. So
things are harder when you have all these extra variables. Not to mention, I mean, something as simple as like the bar being slightly different. If you unrack 1,100 plus pound squats, if a bar is just 5% more flexible, that's going to change the height of your stand up. Because you figure I got to stand up, the bar goes like this. If my bar doesn't do that, that right there is a problem. If I go to take a bench and the bar is really bendy. So now I gotta come down an extra inch before I can touch my chest because of the flex in the bar. So there's just so many variables that you can't control, and that's kind of what makes a competition a competition. It's just like at the NFL, you can't control everything all of the time.
Sure. Absolutely. And I kind of agree with you. Like I said, it was an impressive lift. I mean, I watched it live stream.
Oh, super cool. Yeah, I watched it too.
But you're right. I didn't think it was legit only because it wasn't done at a meet. But they count it, so it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, he can say he did it. So there's that.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but I don't think whoever had the record before, which I think was Eddie.
It was Eddie, yeah.
I don't think it was taken from him in a traditional sense, in my opinion.
Right. So you mentioned your diet, and you said you're 6 foot 280. What does a man who powerlifts 1,000 pounds, who benches 1,000 pounds and weighs 200, what do you eat besides like everything? I would assume.
I mean, the simple answer is whatever the hell I want to.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a clear difference for me in when I'm eating good food versus when I'm not. I mean, because I can get away with eating junk. I mean, I can eat fast food, I can eat out, stuff like that. However, it's like anything else. You get out what you put in. If you eat good quality food, you know, steaks, chicken, stuff like that.
Sure.
You're just going to get a better output. Now, I don't worry so much about my diet, but I will tell you this. We recently started, my family and I, getting those, it's not Hello Fresh because we didn't like that one, but we get like the meal service delivered.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Where you still have to cook it. You have to do all that. And my kids, I have, you know, 2 17-year-olds and a 9-year-old. So, and then my wife and I, we take turns sort of making these meals. And I got to be honest, it's real nice when it's dinner time and you're having like Parmesan crusted chicken and mashed potatoes with a veggie, and it's all like done for you versus like, hey, throw in a pizza. So
right.
Recently, I've been eating pretty well. And I'm actually fairly lean right now, which for me is good.
Okay. Are your kids following in your footsteps? You said your daughter was powerlifting.
Yeah, my daughter powerlifted for years, and now she's more into like, she's definitely still the fitness nut of the house. She lives in the gym. Matter of fact, Attila's gym is where she goes. She just, tell me how that feels. I have a $80,000 facility in my house. She still drives to Attila's, but you know how it is, especially when you're like the bodybuilding aspect.
Yes. Yeah.
Like just all the extra little machines, you can get a lot done. I know that. With powerlifting, it's pretty simple: squat, bench, deadlift, do it heavy.
Right.
We have a lot of accessory bars and all, but she loves all the machines and stuff like that. So she's like a 6-day-a-week, you know, gym head. My little guy, my 9-year-old, he was supposed to do his first meet going into, it was going to be at Rita West's gym too, because obviously she's like family. So she was going to make it a whole big deal, and she had a special trophy for him and all, but then COVID hit. So we're just waiting. We're waiting because he's deadlifting, you know, I think he's deadlifted like 145. He's 9. So
that's great, man.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's waiting to do his first meet. I think he's going to do a push pull. He's going to bench and deadlift. He's not going to squat yet.
That's cool. Yeah. And how about your wife? Does she do any of that?
My wife is the gym mom, less the gym goer. She goes and like dabbles, but she has to take care of me, and I'm the princess. So,
well, listen, you gotta, you know, it's a good. Then that means you got a good wife who takes care of a man. I mean, you know.
Yeah, she's the one.
Consider yourself lucky.
The stuff I don't think about that I didn't know that I needed, she always has it already.
Yeah, that's great, man. What made you get into powerlifting? Were you always just strong, or did you play sports?
Interestingly enough, so like I played sport, like a lot of people, I lifted for football. Well, my story is kind of the same, except a little bit different in like sort of how we got there. So I played football, and I always loved the gym. I was real lucky that my weight room coach happened to be like a big time bench only power lifter. I mean, he was bench pressing 500-pound raw benches at 198 back in like the 80s and 90s, and it was unheard of then.
That's impressive. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like for a 200-pound dude to be benching over 500 pounds, especially in like 1991,
right,
there wasn't a lot of that. So just playing football and then sort of lifting for football, the weirdest thing was like I thought that was normal, because you know, like, and my dad's strong too. My dad benches over 400 pounds. So like the two main like adult male influences that I had were just really strong. So if you're like a 15-year-old kid, what do you think? Like all adults must be this strong. So like it's almost like they set me up for success, because I just thought that was normal. Like I thought like, oh, when I'm an adult, I guess I'll bench over 400 pounds, because that seems to be what the adults in my life kind of do. So then I get to college, and I go, and I'll never forget, I'm a freshman going into play at LaSalle University, which is like a Division I AA school, but like not good 1 AA. Like it was like we'd get our asses kicked, but it was like high level football, but the lowest of the high level, if that makes sense. That was good for me. And I got to play 4 years there, but so we go into the weight room, and I'm like scared. Now I started looking at the numbers of these like juniors and seniors squatting like 405 for like 4. And I'm like, I can bench 405. Like what is happening? This is like college football. So I think I took every number, like every school record in that gym.
I was going to say, and then
just continued breaking them every year until one year we got a transfer. We got a transfer from Marshall who came in just benching like insane. So I think he took me off the bench board back then.
Right.
Yeah.
That's some story. That's actually pretty impressive. That seems to be very common, with the exception of that it was the norm. It's the common that people start off in other sports and fall in love with lifting. So now what's the future hold for Bob Merk? I mean,
well, the immediate future is I got the WPO, which is like the biggest equipped meet of the year. That's that one that was on ESPN. And believe it or not, that's 4 weeks away. Because I'm nuts. I'll compete. I mean, usually people compete like twice a year, and that's considered a lot. I'll compete 6 times a year, whatever.
Wow.
I'm always
okay.
I'm not getting younger, so I'm going to get my time in when I can. So that's the next big thing. That's a really big meet. After that, I'm not going to take a break, but since I had such a big bench, I think I might try a couple bench only meets, go that like see what I could put up. Because like you said, that 1,000 looked pretty easy. That's the first time I ever held it.
Really?
Yeah, I had no idea what I was going to go.
Did it feel like your head was going to explode?
A little bit, yeah. A lot of like pressure and like behind the eyes and all there, just in the descent as you're bringing that down. But I mean, you know, what do? You push as hard as you can, and I did, and it went pretty well. So like, I don't think that was the limit. So I actually already signed up for a meet down in Orlando in October, and I'm going bench only. And I think I'll probably just take 1,015 or something as like my first attempt and see where we can go.
That's amazing. Those numbers are just mind blowing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, maybe
that's a half a ton. That's more than a half a ton. You know, that the power that you could generate is fascinating to me. I was always impressed by power, whether it was man or woman, powerlifting, bodybuilding. I was always impressed by it. You know, I just went the bodybuilding way because I wasn't very strong. I just had a nice physique, and I didn't even have the great genes for that. I did some local shows, and then I was about as good as I got. You know, typical average genetics, I guess you could say. But when I see, that's why what's great about, I said this to Rita, what's great about having your own podcast is you could interview the people you admire and not people you have to interview, right? I could, all I do is try to contact powerlifters, bodybuilders, and arm wrestlers all day long to see who's coming on my show next. Right. And so when I'm coming at you like this, I'm a fan. It's like, oh my God, I'm like interviewing Bob Merk. This is amazing. Right. Whereas if you work for CBS and you got to interview some politician, you really don't give a shit about it.
You're stuck doing what you're told, not what you want to do.
Right.
Plus, I mean, strength sports as a whole, even though there's like a lot of differences, I mean, it's the same basic deal. And the reason I tell my students, I'm a middle school teacher, I tell my students all the time, like, what I love about lifting is like, you talk about genetics. Yeah, like not everyone's got the genetics to be the best. No, not everyone's going to be Dave Hoff.
Right.
But everyone has the genetics to get better than they were, whether it's bodybuilding, powerlifting, you know, strongman. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, it's 100% proven. Like, if you work hard, follow a decent diet, like, you will improve. Right. And it's like, that's not every sport. Like not everyone's going to work hard and like get great at basketball, but you can improve to a pretty solid level with hard work in strength sports.
That's right. It's 100%
true. You put in the time and effort, like, you will see a physical change. You will get stronger.
Yeah.
You find a good program, it will work. It might not work like as well for you as it works for me. And, you know, you might not get as shredded as CT Fletcher, or, you know, you might not be the next Ronnie Coleman. Like, no one's going to be.
Right.
However, if you can be 50% of Ronnie Coleman, you're still fucking jacked.
Yeah, so it's true. Yeah.
That's like what's cool is like, I tell them all the time, it's like hard work gets rewarded. And that's kind of like a nice lesson for life. Like, work really hard, you will 100% get better. So that's always been my fascination with strength sports, is like, there's no magic. It's just hard work.
Yeah.
There's no one was born benching 1,000, squatting 1,100, deadlifting 800. Like, it's just that doesn't happen. So it's all hard work that gets you there.
Sure. Do your kids admire you? Do they follow your sports and your records and whatnot?
Yeah, I got to be honest. That was the coolest part about, like, in 2019 when the WPO is going to be on ESPN, because we actually had like a weird airtime, because again, it's ESPN, 3 or whatever. Like it's ESPN, it's still cool, but it's powerlifting. So
Right.
like we got like a 1 o'clock on a Monday time slot.
Well, yeah, right.
Well, who's watching, ESPN 1 o'clock on a Monday? Every one of my students.
Yeah.
So like it's for me, that's like the perfect time. So like I was so excited that I flew. So I get done competing. It's a pretty fast meet. It was in Chicago. So I'm out in Chicago. I get done competing. Like I grab my check, take my money, take my medal or whatever. I get right on a plane, make my way. I fly back into Philadelphia, drive my ass back down to New Jersey. I went to school the next day.
That's
I want to see
that.
I want to ride in as a conquering hero. I roll into class. I'm expecting like my applause. And they're like, Mr. Merk. I'm like, yeah. They're like, why'd you let that Dave guy beat you? I'm like,
oh yeah. Did you have
classic middle schoolers? I'm like, oh, you didn't see that I finished like second in the world in multiply? Like it's like kind of a big deal on ESPN. No, that's cool, but like that Dave guy, he beat you by a lot.
Like, screw you little bastard. Yeah.
But to complete that story is I screw with the kids all the time. So this just gave them ammunition. We've got like playful banter. So like ever since then, like every once in a while, kids will mess with me. They won't know an answer and they'll just like write like Dave Huff in on like a test or something like that. So they have fun with me. But
what is it that you teach?
Social studies, 7th graders.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
I absolutely love it. Yeah,
that's great. That's pretty cool. Listen, Dave, Jesus Christ. See, now I'm like one of your
just
students.
like my kids.
Yeah. Bob, I apologize. Bob, I'm gonna let you go. I truly appreciate you doing this. It's been like I said, man, I'm a fan first. So this is great for me, man. Like I don't like my podcast. It's the best thing for me. Like I'll never stop doing it, even if I never get paid, because I love interviewing guys like yourself and like Rita and whatnot. It's time consuming, but I love it. So it's great, man.
Yeah, it's great. I had fun.
So I appreciate you coming on, dude. I really do. And much love and much respect and best wishes to you. And I will definitely keep in touch because I want to know what meets you're doing so I can follow you and so on and so forth. Because I'd love to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you're on ESPN again, you got to let me know because I definitely want to watch it.
Yeah, I'll let you know when that documentary comes out.
Definitely. I want to see that. Yes.
So do I. I was interviewed for like 12 hours. I'm curious as to what parts he's going to use.
Were they at the meet you were at or no?
So not this one, but he followed me around from 2018 on like where I was going. Like sometimes I was training down in Florida. He went out there. And then most recently, like I said, he was at my house. Like literally he was here. And I was literally answering questions for like 12 hours in front of the camera. So like, I'm just curious to see like what it's going to look like, how am I going to look?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've watched the West Side Barbell one. I've watched the Bigger, Faster, Stronger that came out back in the day. I watched the one they did with the Strongman with
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I forgot what it's called. I watch all those. They're great.
So this should be pretty cool.
All right, cool. Bob, again, thank you very much. I'm going to let you go. It was a great interview. I'll let you know when it's up, and much love and respect for you, man.
Thank you so much, man. Have a great day.
All right. You too.
All right. Take it easy.